The financial management module within the Homestead Tracker is one of our first comprehensive and very detailed as well as integrated modules. It features a number of different pieces of information that is flowing through different modules, which hopefully give you full control over all your finances within your homestead setup. To get started, a very quick way that you can access your financial transactions is through the home page, where you can add a financial transaction. If you click the transaction edition from the home page, you will be able to do that from a form, which is either to add an income, an expense, debt payment, or a savings. This is also possible from a mobile device. If we have a look at what this looks like on mobile, then we can see that we got the weather and we can add new elements. And included in here is the financial transaction, where if we click that, we can see the form pops up and we can access everything we need and make a financial transaction submission. If we go back to the desktop variation, we can then see that there's a financial tab over here. Now, within the financial module, we have two sub-modules, which is the cost tracker and the budget planner. These are just to be able to navigate between the two easily, but if you're in the cost tracker, you can also just use the tabs up at the top. To give you a very quick summary, the financial management section summarizes all expenses. So we have all of our cards up at the top here, which tally up all of our financial transactions in terms of total income, expenses, our debt payments, our savings, and then our net income in terms of profit or loss. We then have our financial records, which are all editable. So if you go edit, you can change that, or if it was done in error, you can delete it. You can then add your transaction as you could from the home page, from the actual module itself, choosing your income, expense, debt payment, savings. If you choose either of these, you'll see there's a category option. The category option changes depending on what you choose. So the expense you can see is a long list, income significantly shorter, based on the most common income, expenses, debt payments, and savings options. You can then export your data should you want to put it into any other platform. You are more than welcome to do that. Then we have the budget tab. Within the budget tab, you are able to set a budget for yourself within a certain year or a certain month. What you can then do is you'll see your planned income, planned expenses, and then how are you tracking against that? So here, as an example, our planned egg sales are $1,200. Our actual egg sales, this is obviously an example, was $10,000, which is wonderful. Now, if we look at the budget planner, we've got our income, and we can see that we are 8,800 over, which is better than being under, obviously. Now, from an expense point of view, we planned 0, but our actual is sitting on 11,000, which is not looking good. And to add in a new budget item, you just simply set a budget plan. You can choose, as you can when you submit a new financial transaction. You can choose it, you get the same categories so that we have financial transactions and budgets aligning. So let's say feed, and we can set our budget. So let's say our feed cost for this month needs to be $3,000. If we create that, we should then under feed have our $3,000. So far we have spent $500. So if we go to our expenses, we can see just due to all the test data, we're still over, but our plan is $3,000 and our actual is $11,000. So this is a really nice way to be able to go month to month, to be able to see how are you tracking in terms of what you're planning on spending and what you're actually busy spending. Now, a really, really nice and useful tool within the budget planner is our financial goals tab, which is a tab within the tabbed section. Now, what you can do here is set personal financial goals for yourself. Let's say, as an example, we want to create an emergency fund. We can then have our target amount of, let's say it's 10,000. Our savings, our category is the emergency fund, and we don't need a target date. We just got a target value that we want to apply. We can, if we put the date in, it'll obviously then show up in our farm calendar of when we need to achieve this by. But for us, right now, we just want to track the actual total amount. We'll create the goal, and then it will show you what's busy happening in terms of your actual tracking and progression in terms of achieving your financial goals. So emergency fund, we're only 5% completed with our little $500 contribution over here. We can add more and more, and as we just start managing our data and our finances over here, your financial goals will slowly just start updating and ticking in the background. You can come back here at any point, have a look, and should you want to change it, you just simply update and edit the amount if you needed to, and you could do that. So a really nice, user-friendly, super handy budget tool within the financial management module. Excuse me. You then also have the Analytics tab. The Analytics tab is a really, really awesome segment which brings all of your data to life. It allows you to see what your trends are in terms of income, expenses, available income, and then breaks it down visually in terms of charts. So where am I spending all of my money? And these are obviously accumulated totals from our transactions in our financial management module over here. These are the individual items. The analytics section is then tallying that all up. So our livestock cost was $8,500. All of our income, as an example, came from egg sales. But should you have a YouTube channel, should you do eggs, fruit, veggies, meat, dairy, you can see all of your income breakdown as you're busy logging it, and it'll be classified by top income, top expense, highest to lowest. Then a really, really nice feature of this entire financial module is you can filter the entire module. So we're looking at overview, so all transactions, all summaries, our entire budget setup, and our analytics. We can filter by year as well as by month. So if we have a look at last month, September, we do have some data that was logged in here. But if we have a look down, most of our cost here was fuel and transport and animal processing. If we go to the overview, you can see the items over here. And from a budget point of view, you can see we didn't actually have anything planned in over here. If we change this to October, we can see our plans are now changing. We've got some numbers pulling through. Our data here has changed. If we go into our analytics tab, we can see there's more variation in the expense breakdown. The only thing is the financial trend graph, if you're filtering by month, will only show you the current month. If you go all months, it would then show you your monthly financial trends. Really, really nice module. Also bearing in mind that the other modules within the Homestead Tracker also feed into the cost tracker. So if we're looking at dairy production, we have financials over here where we can log financial data and expense. These are all of our expenses, the amount. As soon as we submit the financial record within dairy production, it will then pull through into our cost tracker, which we did over here. Then, to take this even further, what we have is, if we go to egg production as an example, we can then add our financials where we added our feed cost. This then pulls the data back from the financial management or the cost tracker back into our analytics, and then takes our total investment, which is our feed, our infrastructure costs, anything like that, our actual production units, and then gives us a cost per item. With the eggs, it's a cost per egg. And this is where the integration of the Homestead Tracker really, really starts to lift its own weight and becomes incredibly valuable. If we're looking at dairy production, we can just head over to the Analytics tab and we can see what is our cost per unit. And that is either in liter or gallon, which you can configure within your preferences. Even on the meat production, if we're looking at meat production, we can then have our weights where we're busy tracking our animal weight over here. And then within analytics, we can then see our total investment, which we can add in from a financials point of view, also within the module. And then we can see per animal what is the total investment we made, what is their weight, and what is the cost per kilogram or per pound, how many records. This is really, really, really valuable homestead data. So we know exactly how much money we're putting in, how much money, and then how much money we're potentially making from it. You could say under your financial budget planner and your financial goals that your income is expected to be, let's say, 100,000 from your meat. And then if you didn't reach that goal, you could always go back to your animal management, meat production, analytics, have a look at your cost, and then start breaking down your cost per unit in terms of your investment and your final weight to determine where did you lose all of the money that you expected that you were going to make. So the financial management module is a very, very powerful and integrated module within the Homestead Tracker that I really, really hope you can get to enjoy and that it brings a lot of value to your homestead. If you've got any questions or if you have any suggestions, head over to the feedback and support button over here where you can submit feedback. You can add a feature suggestion or a bug report if there's something that cool that you got an idea about. You can gladly add it in here. Everything comes through to us for review. And if you have some ideas of things that other people, not ideas, but if you have seen similar ideas that other people have logged, you can like this because we will be prioritizing the most liked items in terms of adding new features into the Homestead Tracker. This is a really cool feature as well. It'll have its own video, but if there's something from a financial point of view that you do want to add in, please feel free to come and submit feedback, either in terms of a bug report or feature suggestion, so we can get the financial tracking module to do exactly what you wanted to do.